Bigfoot sightings are fascinating. People from all walks of life have encountered these beasts. The ancients spoke of them, including Native Americans and aboriginals. A man in America claims his father shot and killed a Bigfoot back in the 1950s. They kept and preserved the body in a freezer for over 65 years. Unfortunately, his father is no longer with us to give us his fascinating but sad story. But this is what his son has to say.
Father always warned me. He said, Peter, if you show the Bigfoot head, it's going to cause problems in your life, and it has. And he also warned me that if the government knows about it, they're going to come and get it, they're going to take it away, that there's going to be a huge government cover-up because they don't want people to know the truth about Bigfoot. And I'm going to say this, I want to be perfectly clear that most of the people that have been giving me shit are Sasquatch and Bigfoot researchers that are jealous. You're a bunch of wannabes. I have proof here, and it pisses you off. And I understand this, but really, get a life. This is what you wanted. You wanted proof of Bigfoot. I have it. I have it. Now, a couple things about the Bigfoot is its size. And it's very big. It is. It's big, and in relationship to its feet aren't any bigger than like human feet are to a human. Do you understand? They're not like clown feet, okay? But they're big compared to a human's feet. They're like this fucking wide, and like like that. They're big. They're big feet. That's why they're called Bigfoot. Now, as far as length goes. The head itself is like 28 inches long. You're looking at 18 inches wide, something like that, 18 inches, something like that. And its weight, we just weighed it, and it weighs 118.5. So if you figure it lost a half a gallon of water during the freezing for 65 years, figure another 4 pounds, it would weigh over 120 pounds. Now, for some of you all that have said, why hasn't it been shown for exactly what I was talking about? Like my dad feared that there would be problems. And he warned me about this, and there have been a lot of problems. So know that's the reason why it wasn't shown for 65 years. My father did show it to some people. My father was in talks with John DuPont for years, talking about using some of the biological, stuff and creating products for industries, maybe military applications. This is all fact. It's not physiologically anything like a human, and I'm going to show you why. Something else that I'd like to say is if I hear one more person say, go get DNA testing done, shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up. I don't need your help, first of all. And it's already been looked at. It has. It's already been looked at. All that stuff's been done. Shut up. The only thing that I need to worry about is my investors. And they've already seen it. And they already know that it's real. So just shut up. I don't need your help. What makes you think that I need your help? You're a wannabe, aren't you? Well, you're not involved. You're not involved. Now, a couple of things about the Sasquatch head that I want to point out is it appears through x-rays that it has two esophaguses, essentially. It has an esophagus right here, and it's about 3.5 inches. It's about 3.5 inches wide. It's pretty big. But then through x-rays, it has another esophagus going up the backside of the spine into the sinuses and the brain. It's not like a human. It's a fact. And by the way, anybody that's saying that there's PVC poking out of this, somebody else was saying, I think they're referring to this, the back esophagus, that it looks like something that you would put wires in from you're an idiot. You're an idiot. Just shut the fuck up. Pick it apart all you want, but it's fucking real. Like I said, there's an esophagus here, and you can see the esophagus goes up. You can see the esophagus travels up the neck this way. It's an esophagus. It goes, you know, hooks into the mouth and everything. But then it has the secondary esophagus. There's actually like 3 holes or tubes that sort of seem like they're related to breathing, but one of them is also hooked in, for lack of a better term, to the brain. A lot of people keep saying that the teeth look fake. The teeth don't look fake. They keep saying, oh, he's got great teeth. You know, are you out of your fucking mind? He's got the teeth of a retard, seriously. Those don't look good to me. They look all yellow. They look nasty. The bottom line is I've had a lot of media inquiries. I've had a lot of people contacting me. One thing that I wanted to say is I'm not doing anything weird with the Bigfoot head. And there's been several people asking me to do things with the Bigfoot head, and they'll pay me money, and I'm not going to do that. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. It's a fucking dead animal. It's a fucking dead animal. What the fuck is the matter with you people? Oh, it's real, all right. It's totally real. Who would think that this isn't real? You'd have to be an idiot to think that this is not real. It's fucking real. Look at the eyeball. Look at the nose. Look at the flaring nostrils. I just want to be perfectly clear. I don't need help, okay? I have investors that are involved in this. The Bigfoot Museum of North America will be opening up at some point. And one other thing that I wanted to say is I haven't told you all everything. I haven't. I said that my father shot a Bigfoot, and he has, and I have the Bigfoot. There's something else to the story. I have something else. You might have to wait until the Bigfoot Museum of North America opens up, or I might show it on YouTube. It's complete. That's all I'm going to say. It's totally complete. All right, it's a smaller one. But they had to shoot a smaller one after they shot the big one. A smaller one started running at them, and they shot that too. Absolutely, it's real.
Now we go to vampires, dragons, fairies, and other so-called mythical creatures. A man by the name of Thomas Theodore Maryland, born to a rich aristocratic family in 1782, he had a collection of a large array of biological specimens. His collection was recently discovered in a London townhouse and is now being studied. Here is a clip of some of the specimens.
My name is Alex F, and I'm the curator and custodian of the Maryland Cryptid Collection, an extensive menagerie of extinct and unclassified preserved animal specimens, amongst them the supposed cadavers of creatures thought to be no more than myth. I was approached in 2007 to oversee the examination and documentation of Maryland's extensive diaries. I work alongside a team of specialists whose job it is to examine each study case to ascertain the history and the historical significance, the species and the research carried out by Maryland and his colleagues. The collection was the life's work of Thomas Theodore Maryland. He was a wealthy naturalist, born in 1782. He travelled alone extensively, seeking out items and specimens to add to his treasure trove. His collection itself grew exponentially, adding the preserved bodies of creatures that defied classification. Even into his late 80s, he continued to seek out elusive knowledge. Despite his great age, he never appeared to be any older than 40 years old. His collection soon became the stuff of legend, and he was all but forgotten until 1942, when a series of donations were made to an orphanage, including a London townhouse. And according to newspaper records, the donation came from Thomas Theodore Maryland. In 2006, the house was sold and was due for demolition. When the foundations were examined, a sealed room was found. Within this space were thousands of wooden shipping containers. On closer inspection, the crates were found to contain biological specimens, and the entire contents was moved from the cellar to a facility where it could be properly examined. I think I knew from the beginning that that they were all real, that it wasn't a hoax. I was presented with a wealth of information and all of these kind of self-contained studies of each species. The saving grace was Merlin's attention to detail. He was fastidious, he recorded everything, he presented everything in a very matter-of-fact way. You had thousands of biological samples and a wealth of annotated drawings, but I think the problem is that he spoke of ideas, anachronisms, that kind of, now looking back, you could doubt them. He was talking about DNA in the 1850s, and obviously DNA wasn't discovered until much later than that.
I was employed to examine a series of preserved animal cell samples, just told to analyse the samples and to record any interesting qualities. Although the cells appeared dead, they were in fact in a dormant state. I submerged them in a culture medium and managed to coax them back to life. These were 2,000-year-old skin cells, the DNA like nothing I'd ever seen before. After I submitted my findings to my superiors, I was asked if the cells could have been fabricated or interfered with to create such qualities. I said no. It was then that I was told what species these cells had come from.
And what species is that?
Homo vampirus,
I'm sorry?
the vampire.
To say werewolves and vampires existed seems somewhat ridiculous.
I think that so many of these species are kind of wrapped up in folklore and mythology, and the kind of core idea of a species is lost, because we're dealing with animals that existed in such small numbers that you can't really, there's not enough information. And I mean, Merlin was recording this 100 years ago, and even then he was saying his studies would show that these species were dying out mainly through the encroachment of man into all areas of the world. But if you look at these species individually, for instance, the vampire, Homo vampirus, it's a hominid. It has an immunodeficiency virus. It's a virus which must have encountered at some point in its evolution. It changed its genetics to serve the virus, but it also benefited the host by extending its life. I think that you have to look at these things from a very matter-of-fact point of view, or you are lost in the kind of mythology and folklore of these species. You can talk about fairies and demons and dragons, but you're talking about the possibility that over thousands of years, these myths have existed, and a lot of myths are at some point founded in reality. And I guess it's our job here to kind of piece those ideas together and find out if there's actually a valid species within all of that. I think the thing about Merlin is that he presented a world that humans had chosen to ignore. And I think that that's important, because we can lose ourselves in the matters of humans and kind of ignore the other species that we share this planet with.
Recorded that Merlin disappeared in 1942. What do you think happened to it?
I'm convinced he's still alive.
Everyone loves mermaids. It's always been in our psyche from childhood, thanks to Disney's The Little Mermaid. Then a more recent movie came out called Luca, in which the character looked more realistic as far as children's cartoons go. Common sense is to realise mermaids wouldn't have hair. I mean, what fish or sea creature does? Also, they wouldn't wear clothing like a bra made of seashells. Anyway, I digress. There's a man that got banned from TikTok for uploading videos of supposedly mermaids or sirens singing. The background story is that he worked as a fisherman, and his encounters happened more than once. After the TikTok videos went viral, people in white hazard suits on board the ship he was working from and set up a strictly no-access tent. No one knows why or what they were doing. The guy who filmed wasn't heard from for a while, but he has now created a new TikTok account. Here are some clips of his encounters.
I fucking love my job, I swear. Mr. Krabs! Huh, Mr. Krabs? Tell him, Mr. Krabs! Actually, you know what, homie? I'm gonna throw you back in your ocean. Because we're not catching you. Be free! Be free, homie! Sometimes you gotta let him free, you know? Sometimes you just gotta let him roam free. Let's just walk right back. Let's see if we can find... Oh! Yo! Oh, hell no! Wait, no! No fucking way! Wait, I just threw this overboard. Y'all saw me throw it overboard. This, are you fucking kidding me? That did not just... Us 90, and we just out here. We're chilling. We're out here I hear it. I hear him. Where's she at? What the fuck is that noise, bro? What is that noise? Where are you? This is crazy. I heard it. I heard it. I hear it. Oh my God. That's crazy. That's nuts. That's crazy. Sauce 9, you know what it is, man. Just finished another fishing trip. Whole fishing trip, heard no noises whatsoever until we got into unload. Peep this video, crazy. At the docks though? Hey yo, you hear that? I know what the fuck that is. I know what the fuck that is. That bitch followed me the fuck in. Oh, at the docks though? No way. No way. I'ma find your ass. You watch. To all 11,000 of you who were with me last night when this video was going live, I appreciate y'all. We witnessed something crazy. Source 90, the government is legit here. Peep game, let's be sneaky. That was full of water. My pants are wet. Cut. Source 90, dry pants now. Let's check out these motherfuckers. You're gonna be out here doing testing. Testing what? What the fuck are you guys testing? That's what I wanna know. We all know Source 90 has heard certain things out in the ocean, and then my TikTok gets banned, and then the government shows up my boat. It's too many fucking coincidences.
There are quite a few good clips out there of what some people call lizard man. These creatures have been sighted all over the world, from Thailand to America. Some call them swamp monsters or reptilians, but not to be confused with reptilian aliens. Those are totally different from these primitive creatures. Here's a clip from a young man who had a terrifying encounter one night in which the creature attacked and damaged his car. Another man witnessed the same creature not long after, walking across his farm field.
I was sheriff during the time this lizard man made his appearance in Lee County, and it was during the year of 1988. I took this thing very serious because we turned our backs on it. Oh, it wasn't nothing to it. Say it attacked somebody's children, even the adults. Not only would I have to leave the county, I would have had to leave the state. Its description said it was about 7 foot tall with red glowing eyes and very fast, and it appeared to have 3 long fingers on each hand. I thought it could have been a bear or something that he saw. We don't know what it is. Mm-hmm. But he saw something because nobody could have been frightened like he was.
My tires was bust and it flat. So I got out and changed about 2 a.m. that night. After I was finished changing, I was putting flat in the jack in the trunk. And I looked back, I saw red eyes, big red eyes thing running toward me. So I jumped in the driver's side, and when I was shutting the door, it grabbed the door. So I jerked the door and shut it and pulled off. And I looked in the mirror, I saw a big image and a loud crash on top of the car.
I scratched my head. I said, I can't believe this, what I'm hearing. I said, okay, draw it. He drew it. Immediately he drew it. At that time, when this first broke, it went all over the world in 3 days' time. And I got calls from all over the world. One of the things that the media has done, they would take it from Chris Davis, and that was all. But this thing, at least 12 people saw it.
The morning that I saw what I saw, I was loading the plane right over here, like I always do, and taxied out on the runway here. Started my takeoff roll. And there's a point down here that if you're not off the ground, you better throttle back and stop. After that point, you better hope you fly. That's about where I was at the day that this, whatever it was, crossed the runway in front of me. He turned his head and looked at the plane. He looked at it and turned right back, and the thing had a kind of a lope in its walk, and like I said, much taller than you. I would guess 8.5, 9 feet tall.
Well, I had was going to fence up this part of the swamp to put goats and hogs in. The men, we had quit at lunchtime. Down by myself, I looked around in the swamp. Something was peeping out behind about a 30 to 36-inch tree. Just a head part was sticking out. And I looked at it, and it looked at me. I never saw anything like that before in my life. Its eyes was red. It had a head shaped almost like a human head.
But I get up every morning, I open the door and I look out, see where all my kitties are. Open the door and I went, what? All their blankets and all their towels were all up and down the driveway. 10 minutes later, Bob was gonna go to the hardware store for me. He comes back in, he says, honey, put on your coat and shoes. I wanna show you something. So he comes out and the car. And I mean, we're just like, oh my God, what could have done this? There were pieces, they're sitting over there, some of them that were just like ripped off the car and bent and thrown on the ground. Something definitely big and bad did that to our car, to bend that metal. And I can't see a coyote or a dog doing anything like that. I think if it was a bear, there would have been more damage to the front of the hood. So the sheriff come out and he looked at the car and everything, and then later on, Bob took the car up there, and they took blood samples from the car. But to this day, you don't see any cats over on that patio. There's about 7 missing, 6 or 7 missing since that night.
The legend of the lizard man is Lee County. We just need to embrace it. Every town should have an icon, and we just happen to be fortunate enough that it happens to be a lizard man, that he chose us as opposed to us having to go out and find an icon for Lee County. I think he likes us, maybe he doesn't. He doesn't like cars, obviously, but we'll take him for what he's worth. The economic impact so far has been, in the last 20 years, it's been a positive thing for us here in Bishopville and in Lee County.
A lot of people think this is a Bigfoot, and it has all appearances to be a Bigfoot if you want to believe in that. And anything that we had reports of run inside of a car doing 40 miles an hour, we could find him. Carolina Clemson could certainly use him.
So many sightings happen all around the world every year. Canada, America, England, Australia, New Zealand, Africa, and all over Europe. There are medieval paintings of these creatures in clothing and looking quite civilized. There are folklores and bedtime stories about them, going back hundreds of years. So they are nothing new, or some military experiment that escaped. Although there are whistleblowers that have come forward talking of their experiences and these humanoid dogmen being captured and tested on from the military as well as scientists in the private sector. Here is one man's close encounter with a dogman.
Back in 1975, I grew up in a town called Bracknell in the southeast of England. It was a dusty little town back then. I mean, it's a big new town now, but it was a little dusty town. There was a lot of woods and stuff like that. Anyways, I was hanging around with this kid called Ian, and we used to do recordings, sort of making fun of adverts, not recordings on video. We didn't have that. All I had was a tape recorder, and we'd make fun of these adverts, like the fairy washing up liquid advert and stuff like that. Anyway, my folks had gone to a party a couple of doors away, and I think my sister was staying at my auntie's, or she was out with a boyfriend, I can't remember. Anyway, so I got my tape recorder, and I'm in the kitchen, and I've turned on the kitchen tap, and I wanted to record the water sound, and it was dark outside. It was pitch black. You know, you couldn't see a thing. There was no houses at the back. There was woods at the back of us and a sports centre. This town is situated in the southeast of England in Berkshire. It's called Bracknell. Anyways, I was in the kitchen. I was doing this recording of the water, and I sort of glanced out the window, and in the blackness, I could see something that was even blacker. And I thought, what's that? And I'm sort of looking, and this thing was huge. It got closer and closer, and it scared the life out of me. I was like just frozen there. This thing was, well, I'm shaking now, actually. This thing, I can only describe it as a dog man. Its head was absolutely enormous. It had tons of fur like a mane. This wasn't somebody dressed up in a suit, and they would have had to have gotten over a 6-foot wooden fence at the end of the garden. How would they have known I'd be there alone? It's just not possible. This thing was absolutely huge, and I saw it real close up. The only thing between me and that thing was 4mm glass. It was enormous, and I was just frozen there looking at it. I wanted to sort of take it all in, but this thought, this thought came into my head. It said, if you don't do something, you're going to die. And this thing gave out a growl, and I could see its hands. It had like human hands, but they were dark, and the backs were covered in hair. And it had long black nails, and the claws went against the glass. I screamed. I was absolutely terrified. I screamed. I sort of jumped down onto the floor because I think I stood on a stool or something to look out the window properly. And I crawled across the floor. I wanted to make sure that the back door was locked because I didn't want to, I knew I was going to leave the house. I didn't want to come back and this thing was hiding in the house somewhere. So I crawled across the floor. I put the bolt across at the bottom, put my hand up. I was really scared, put my hand up to the key, and I turned the key. I was worried this thing could have just smashed the glass and grabbed my hand. I crawled across the floor to the kitchen door, out the kitchen door, opened the front door, looked up and down the street, and then I ran down to the house where my parents were at a party. I didn't tell my parents. I thought I was going nuts. And the next day I looked out in the garden for evidence. I can't quite remember if anything was messed up. I've forgotten what I was going to say now. Oh yeah. So I thought about the recorder, the tape recorder, which had been recording during all this, and I played it back, and sure enough, you could hear me on there. You could hear the tap water. You could hear everything. You could hear the thing growl and its claws on the window. I never listened to it again. It scared the life out of me. I didn't even want to think about it. But I have every day. I mean, I was, 14 then? 14 years old. I'm 62 now. And every day I think about it. And every day I see that creature's face.